Hello, everybody. I want to talk to you today about some things that you will want to put in place if you would like to be a breakout speaker. So just a little bit of background. I have been in kids ministry for 30 years, and I have always enjoyed being in front of people. And I kind of knew that one day I might actually be able to present something to other leaders. However, my self-confidence and insecurity would get the best of me, and I wouldn't step out and try to do that. Although the opportunity came to grow in that area because I was leading a team at my church. Now, I've always been involved in smaller churches and smaller groups of people. I was a volunteer leader myself for 20 years before I actually got paid. I was so excited when that actually happened. So I want to tell you that if you have a desire to be a speaker, that you have something you believe you are to share with others, I want to encourage you, go for it. But it can be intimidating. And so I thought it might be helpful if I gave you a couple of tips on what I did in order to help save you some time, because it's been a work in progress. It's been several years now that I have been speaking at conferences and doing online and in person. And I know that my suggestions aren't necessarily all right or perfect in any way, but maybe this can help some of you step into the plans that God has had for you for a long time. And now is your opportunity. All right. So I want to talk to you first of all and let you know that most conferences, you have to apply to speak. That is something that I didn't know. I really didn't. I thought you always were invited to come and speak. Now that happens, of course, and you can rely on a person to give you a good reference. That's how I was able to do equipping seminars, for example. And that in itself was the confidence builder that I needed to be able to start speaking more and more. So you might have to find that application, and you will have to submit some of the things such as a headshot, a bio, a workshop or breakout, description, and title. So those are the four things that I just wanted to highlight. And these are just kind of the common things that you need to know. And if you need more help with things, then please reach out to me. Let me know and we can spend some time together. We could do something on a Zoom call with a bunch of people, or if you'd like some one-on-one coaching with that, you can I can make myself available for your time that way as well. Let's talk about our headshot. Okay, this is our picture that we're going to submit for our speaking application. I have to tell you that years ago, we didn't really have the same standards that we do now. So we could just take any picture that we had and, we could send that in, and, sure, it was already coming from a digital source, but look at how things have changed. And so I am going to stress this to you. The standard is very high quality picture. Okay, you need to have somebody who has a really good camera, and lots of people do. Probably somebody in your church or a family member already has a good camera to take a photo. Or with the advancement of our incredible iPhones, the quality is really good. And so you should be able to get a good picture with one of those. Okay. Couple of things. It needs to be a JPEG. I don't even know what that means, but I know we have to have it as a JPEG. And you need to have the size as 2.4 megabytes. You can click on the photo and it will say get info. When you click on that, it tells you how big the file is. You want to make sure that you're sending a large enough photo so that when they manipulate it, so if they want it smaller or bigger, that it's not going to go blurry and change. And they will likely ask you for another photo if if the quality isn't as good. You also want to make sure that your background that you're using is a solid color, unless of course you're outside, because then you could have it as a tree or something. But do be careful on that too. Just make sure that it's as neutral as possible, so that it's not distracting and taking away from you. Because guess what? You are who the people want to see. This also goes for your clothing, okay? Now, I am a person who loves bright clothing, so wearing hot pink isn't unusual for me. Although I would probably, if you would meet me somewhere, or even if I was speaking, you'd probably see me wearing a flowery scarf with this, or a big necklace, or even the shirt itself might be very printed, because that's just my personality. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that I have to wear that in my photos. I have found over the years that going with a more neutral color, again, not neutral that it has to be white or gray or taupe, not neutral in that way, but like a solid color, it just seems to work better with the promotions of whatever the conference is doing, because they're going to use your photo in brochures or online. You're going to be all over the internet. So you just want to make sure that you feel good in what you're wearing, and you don't want to have too much stuff. Okay. I will also say, just on that note, that your lighting has to be really good. Now, I have kept one of my lights off just for this moment. So this is okay lighting right now, but there is a shadow. So I'm just going to turn my light on, and look at that. So much better. If you're outside using natural light, just make sure you're not in the sunshine and your eyes are squinting and there's a big sun ray on your face. Best day is actually a cloudy day is what they tell us. And if you're inside, just make sure that you're using good lights. And if you wear glasses, now I don't usually have glasses on in my profile pictures because I need them to read, but just make sure that in the photos that you're taking, that you don't see a whole bunch of the lights or anything reflecting in them. It's just really important in that particular photo that you don't see that. Okay. And well, I'm going to show you some of my pictures. Okay. I'm being vulnerable to you guys because I've never shown some of these to people. But I think it's important that you see what, well, let's see, I'll show you where I've been and where I am going. Does that sound funny? Okay, I'm going to share my screen, and I just have to pick some of these. Okay, so this is the profile that you guys have probably seen because it's the one I use all the time now. This was done at my daughter-in-law's house against a white wall, and I'm really happy with it. I think it turned out good. But let me show you. This was the photo that I used before that. And this happened to be, I actually won a session with a photographer. And I knew that actually it was a gift from the Lord that I could use this and finally get some decent pictures. So I was really happy with that one for quite some time. And this is another one that they did, and I had used that one. And yeah, so I have changed a fair amount. But yeah, that one has worked really, really great. And I want to show you something though. So you saw my picture in the pink that I've been using now. That was one of many, many, many pictures. It's important that you like your picture. So the person who's taking your photo needs to take it. A headshot means like, you can do from the waist up if you want, but headshot is usually from about here up. And you want to make sure that you like your picture. And so the person can just start taking pictures, and you can move. Like I'm going side to side. I like my face on one side better than the other side. Do you too? And sometimes just laughing out loud gives you a really good picture as well. So let me show you a couple more pictures. And they are all from the same day, okay, of that final one. I'll show that one to you at the end. But here's one, and it was fine. I just kept changing my jacket and seeing which one I liked. I did change my lipstick color on a couple of them because I really like lipsticks to match. So there's one. Oh, we saw this one already. Don't need to see this one again. Here's another one. That's the same thing, but I'm facing the other way, so it kind of looks different, doesn't it? I don't know why this does not want to go away. That's so funny. Okay, this one, I look like I'm in pain or something. So my point is, if I had just taken one photo with that one outfit and that was the picture, I personally wouldn't have really liked it. Now, I'm not trying to be vain, friends. I'm not. I'm just saying you have to like your picture. You're going to see it all over the place. So make sure you take time to take several photos so that you can like them. Okay, why don't you go away? That's so funny. That was one of my very first ones. Okay, there. Now I can get rid of it. Okay, here's another one. I changed into a blue jacket. And I don't know. I just don't, no one just doesn't do it for me either. Same one within seconds later. I like this one a whole lot better. I thought that was not too bad. Then I changed again. And this time it was, I had a pink wall behind me. I thought I would love the pink wall, you guys. And I didn't, not at all. I just didn't think it does it justice. We just kept taking pictures though. So now I changed my position, went the other way. It's okay. Then I changed my jacket again. And again, I thought this pink one was good, but I don't know. There's still something about this one that just, it didn't do it for me. And this one, well, you can tell I am laughing. And although it's a really fun picture and I like it, I don't recommend that this is your only profile picture. You can have one like this. You could use it for different things, maybe your blog or something like that, but it's not as professional as it could be. And so let's just see here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment and show you one last one, which, well, there's actually two. Where'd this one go? All right. Thanks for your patience. I just want to make sure you guys see. All right. So here is the photo after all those other ones that I did. This is the photo that we actually ended up with. I don't know exactly what it is, but I feel like I'm not trying too hard. I think my smile is genuine. I feel like I'm looking right to the camera. My hair is just kind of nice. It's not too much. And yeah, it just really, really worked for me. This was one other fun one that I just wanted to show you. So this one was one of those moments of like, she was making me laugh, and I could use that one, but again, I would use this one very selectively for a certain conference rather than this one I've been able to use and submit to every single online conference and in-person conference for the last couple of years. All right. So there we go. So a couple of highlights, right? It needs to be a JPEG, 2.4 megabytes. It needs to have a solid background if possible, a solid color. As you saw in my photo, you can wear like a black, like a different color shirt under and then a jacket, or just a solid like this. Don't do too many accessories. It's a little much for that. Don't go overboard and not be yourself. Like if you normally have your hair straight, and now for this picture, you curled it all up and put on makeup, and you normally never wear makeup. Well, you may not like it that much because it's not really who you are. And we want you to be who you are. If you normally wear glasses, then you should wear your glasses. Men, if you have facial hair, just make sure you're all tidied up, okay? If you are clean shaven, make sure you shave, that you don't have any facial hair on your skin, because it will show up very clearly on the JPEG photo. So I hope that was useful and informative. And you might be going, wow, that's a lot to think about, the lighting and the colors. But I'm telling you, you won't regret getting it right the first time. All right, everybody, let's talk about your bio. Your bio is really important because this is who you are. This is making a statement about who you are, why you do what you do, what you're passionate about. And a lot of times it includes where you live. Now, in the world that we live today, I mean, people can actually, Google the town that you live in. Sometimes you may decide to not give the name of your little town or something. I find that some people don't like to do that, and that's fine. For me, I live in Spruce Grove, Alberta, Canada. I often have to put the word Canada because people don't know even where Alberta is. And they like to know that. But you might live in a town that is very close to Chicago, but they wouldn't know where that little place is. So these are some of the things you have to just decide. Would you rather just say, I live, near Chicago, Illinois? Or I could say, I live with my husband in near Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, because some people might actually know where Edmonton is. But I've chosen to say Spruce Grove because that is actually where I live. Your bio is something that is going to be rather emotional for you. Yeah, I'm just going to say it. It is a big deal. This is trying to put everything that you've done for all these years and who you are as a person and how much you love God and put it into 50 words. I know, 50 words. Now, my first bio did not start off as 50 words. It was long. And there are some contexts where you can put a very long bio, but I'm going to tell you something. Most people don't read it. They don't. They just want to know a little bit. Now, I can't do a bio much less than 50 words. So maybe one of you one day wants to look at mine and give me some tips on that. But for me, I can go to 50 words. But you are going to need more words than that before you get to 50 words. I want you to write down, obviously, you're going to write your name. You're going to write how many years of ministry that you've been ministering to kids. I want you to write down, what are you passionate about teaching kids? What is it that makes you want to be a speaker? What are the parts of your family life that you want to share? Some people do quite a bit of the family life, and some just write something very simple. Even the fact, do you want to mention your spouse's name? Do you want to mention your kids' names? Do you want to use your words up with that? Plus, you want to think about your organization that you are submitting to, because they may not want all those words. They might not want to know as much of that personal side. And so you have to get everything from your personal information, your ministry information, so professional information, and then your what you want to do with your family information as you put that all together. You want to come up with some words that you feel describe you really well. I think some fun words, adjectives that maybe you haven't used normally. Like, okay, my sister says that I'm gregarious. And I was like, what's gregarious? And she's like, you are. Now, I don't use that particular word in my bio, but I sure have fun with it now. And it actually started helping me make decisions about other words that I could use for my personality. And I know the word passionate gets used a lot, but I think it's a really good word. If you are passionate about something, then you can use that word to describe yourself. All right, I'm going to share my screen and show you some of my bios. Now, yes, I did say some of my bios, because what is going to happen is that you're going to have a longer bio. You're going to write out all these things that are important to you, that you feel you want to talk about in there. And then you're going to have to dissect it almost and pull it apart, find the pieces that you like the very most, and those are the words and what we're going to work with. So I think sharing my screen to show you what this looks like will be helpful to you. So I have several bios on here. I have this short bio, and then I have a 50-word bio. Now, this is just for me to pull up in a Word document, and I can just highlight this now. You see that? I copy and paste, and I can put it into the application online somewhere. The 50-word bio, just so that you can all see it, that I have used for quite some time now, says, as a wife, mother, and leader in the ministry of children, Leann has been serving in churches with enthusiasm for over 30 years. Leann is passionate about walking alongside leaders and parents who desire to teach children about the fullness of his salvation and hearing from God for themselves. And then I have my website there as well. Now, that particular one works really well in a lot of contexts. The other one that I have just above it is another one that I love and use often. It's very similar. It says, as a wife, mother, and leader of children's ministry of children, Leann has been serving in churches with enthusiasm for 30 years. Her desire is to encourage and inspire kids and adults in teaching biblical truths and foundations of the faith through whimsical creativity and thrifty practicality. She and her husband, Kevin, have been married for 33 years, have 2 sons, and a beautiful daughter-in-law. And now I get to add a granddaughter in there. And that is my other one. So you can see they're very similar, but the words teaching biblical truths and foundations of the faith, that was very important for me to implement eventually, because that's what my family encounters and kids encounters are all about. So I'm using words that are my language anyway. And then the whimsical creativity. Oh, I have just loved that phrase for so long, because that's who I am. I'm very creative. I am whimsical, and then thrifty practicality. I have always been on a budget. And so those words are speaking to other people, and they are totally the language that I would use when you see me speaking. So I think that is a big piece of what you guys are going to do as well. Now, I just want to show you. You're just going to laugh at me, I know, but hey, whatever. I speak and apply for quite a few places now. So when I am applying as a kids ministry speaker, so this is for speaking to kids directly, then I use this bio. I'm not going to read all these to you, but that's the bio I use for that one because that's what they are looking for. Conference training or coaching, as you can see, this is a bit longer, but I'm able to use that one for those things. I've revised my bio for different things. And so I keep that up to date, but I don't get rid of my old ones because sometimes there's keywords that I'll go back to. You may get rid of yours. It doesn't matter. This one is the one that is used for CPC. Leann Woelk is a passionate leader who enjoys using everyday items to teach biblical truths through whimsical creativity and thrifty practicality. She's a speaker, writer, and certified INCM coach. As a founder of Handle with Care Ministries, she provides training, support, and care to children's ministry leaders and their church families. So what do I have in here? Take some notes. Again, I now am a speaker. Like I've been speaking for a while, so I can put that in here. I've been writing my kids encounter, so I am a writer. I'm a certified INC coach. That's important to put in there. And then this is my what they call your elevator pitch. But I provide training, support, and care to children's ministry leaders and their church families. So now that's important to be in there. And this tells a lot about me. But did you notice it doesn't actually tell anything about where I live, and it doesn't tell anything about my family, but this is what was required for this particular thing that I was doing for CPC. The family encounters, I have a different one again because I'm speaking to a different audience who are going to be coming to the family encounters. And I have done a women's conference or 2 or 3, and that as well is it needs to be a little bit different, even though I still say that I work with children. And then I'm just going to show you this. Whoa. Here are, look at, I know. Oh, that's a picture of me that's just stuck on there. So here's the thing. The bio that I wrote originally is really long, and there's all these pieces, and then I'm pulling out the words, I'm pulling out the expressions that really hit me. So what I recommend is take that long bio. So you're just going to write it out. It's almost like writing your testimony, but you're doing this, for a professional reason, is so that you can be a speaker and read through it and circle the words. Now I would do something like circle all the words that are like adjectives and they just stand out to you. You could use a highlighter too. I think that would be kind of fun. So circle those words. Use another highlighter in a different color to get the facts. So this is who I am. This is how long I've been in ministry. Here, I'm a speaker, I'm a writer, I am an INCM coach. Those are things that those are facts that need to be placed inside of there. Then I'd use another highlighter and I would do, here's my personal information about my family and what do I want to highlight here. Now, again, yes, it's nice for me to be able to put my husband's name in my bio, but it's not necessary. And so you have to think through some of those things and condense it so that you'll be the most effective with those 50 words that you get. The other thing I'm just going to recommend is that you send this to a friend. Now, again, you can send this to me and we can look at it together. If you want me to work with you specifically, we'll set up a coaching time that you can, you and I can work one-on-one with that in my coaching. Yeah, you guys know what I mean. and we'll get it done. Like we'll make sure that you have what you need. But like, if you want to just put it here in the comments and have other people look at it and give some ideas towards it, then let's do that. And otherwise, send it to a friend and ask them to read it and see what they think. And you'll find it's you're being vulnerable when you send that out to your friends, but they will give you the feedback that you need to hear, because think about it, everybody else is going to be reading this. And so take heart in what they're saying. a lot of times what I find is in our very initial writing of our bio, we have a lot of repetition. We literally say the same thing maybe 3 times that could all be said in one sentence. And so we want to know all those things. But again, how about we find that out in a different way on a different occasion and not in your 50-word bio, because it literally won't fit. Okay. All right. Well, that's kind of fun. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. And all right, let's talk about our breakouts. Sometimes we call them workshops. That's kind of the older name, but if it's a very hands-on kind of conference, they might call them workshops instead. But whatever that is, you use their language. Okay. So if you are actually using the word breakout in your description, you are going to want to change that to use the word workshop. Don't make them change it for you. Okay. It should be what it's supposed to be right when you submit that. So there's a couple of things that you're going to want to look at before you submit or even go to an application. You have to have your title and your description already done by the time you're applying. So you're going to get to work on that, but you can go to the website of the place that you want to apply, and they will often have a tab that says breakout speakers information, and on there it will give you some different things. And one of the things that is important but not critical, okay, is the theme of the conference. So you have to know the conference that you're applying for. If I would go and apply to a youth conference, that wouldn't really make a lot of sense because I'm not called to do youth ministry. I know that for sure. Okay. You might not do family ministry very much. You may just do kids ministry. I have looked at a few homeschool conferences thinking, well, I wonder if I could, do something there. And as I've done more and more over the years, that is possible, but I would have never applied for a homeschool conference at the beginning because all my breakouts have been very focused on children's ministry and prayer experiences, which, in a homeschool situation of a Christian homeschool, well, that might work, but you have to know your audience. So be careful that you are applying to a conference that you believe in, that you stand with their statement of faith, and that you really want to be part of, because you're going to represent who they are, and your picture is the one that's going to be on there. And so you just want to make sure you understand who it is that you're applying to. Okay. And so all of that said, they will have a theme for their conference. Now, that does not mean that your breakout needs to be exactly the same theme. Often there are breakouts that will happen that are aligned with the theme because that just makes sense, but that doesn't mean that your skill or your knowledge of the breakout that you're going to do has to be perfectly aligned with the theme. Okay, you hearing me? However, if you look at the information, they will usually give you categories, and a category is really important. You need to know, where does your breakout fit? Where's this information going to go? Who needs this? Okay, so look at the categories. Sometimes you'll be able to put it in this one or that one. And if you're really stuck, ask a friend. You could message the conference and just confirm what they meant by that particular title of a category, because a category can have a lot of different things, and it can mean a little bit different to one person than another person. So, all right. And another thing on the information that you're going to see is that they are going to ask, usually they ask for, what are your takeaways with your breakout? The breakouts are for the people. They're for the leaders that you're going to be talking to. They're not about us, even though we're the ones that are going to give the information. It's about them. And I'm going to talk more about that in another video about our presentations. Okay. But that's a good thing to remember. You have to have some takeaways. And what you write in your description has to be what they actually go away with, because that's what they're looking for. They want to know, I'm going to come to Leann's breakout and I'm going to get this. Let me give you an example. I did a breakout called Lap Books, a creative solution. So that's my title. It's short and sweet. I'm telling them what it is. It's a lap book. And now you might not be familiar with what a lap book is yet, but I think you can get that. She's going to tell us what a lap book is. And it's a creative solution. So the words I've chosen there are creative. Well, that hits anybody who has creativity and a solution. Praise the Lord, there's a solution for something. So that title is short and sweet, but it says what I wanted it to say. And here is my description. Are you tired of seeing your children's ministry crafts and take-home sheets end up in the trash can even before they leave the church? Come discover Lap Books as a creative solution for CM leaders, kids, and your parents. Budget-friendly for churches, multi-sensory for kids to remember biblical truths, and an impressive presentation for parents to review biblical principles at home. If you have the gift of creativity, you will love this solution for your children's ministries. All right, let's pick that apart a little bit. I'm actually going to share my screen so that you can see this. And that way, I think it's this one. Okay. Let's show you this one. So here it is. So let's just pick out some of the words. I was just saying to you, lap books. Okay, that's what it is. We're going to do lap books. It's a creative solution. Already went through this, but let's pick out some other words that are necessary for people to know what they're going to do. Okay, so do you see my first line here? Are you tired of seeing your children's ministry crafts and take-home sheets end up in the trash even before they can leave the church? This is the problem. And I'm going to give them a solution to that problem. Come discover Lap Books. Discover is a good word. You want words in here that'll pop out. And it's like, ooh, I want to discover this. So come discover Lap Books as a creative solution. Who is it a solution for? It's for CM leaders, kids, and parents. So now we know we're going to have a solution for those three categories or three groups of people. Budget friendly for churches. Praise God, right? Budget friendly, economical. You can come up with some other, don't use the word cheap. I don't think that works very good. Budget friendly is always a good one to use if what you're really going to give is budget friendly. Don't say that if you're not going to promise to give that to them. Multi-sensory for kids to remember biblical truths. So lap books, this is one of my lap books right here. It folds out into a cross. It's hard for me to show you the whole thing. Oh, here I have my little one. I'll just show you this. This is a small lap book. Lap books can look quite different. So this one actually becomes a cross, okay? But you can see how it's interactive and kind of fun, and you can add different things to it. I'm not going to do my breakout for you right now. But do you see what I'm saying? Like multisensory. So it's going to hit a lot of learning styles for the kids. It's going to help them remember biblical truths. And it's an impressive presentation for parents to review biblical principles at home. Those are all good things. So those things are what they're going to take away. They're going to take away solutions for those three groups. Then they're going to, it's going to be budget friendly. So that's like, bing, I like that one. It's going to be multisensory. That's really awesome. Hands-on. So that's going to hit somebody else to like that one. And the what was my other one? The isn't that funny? I just lost my piece of paper, my document. Oh dear. Here it is. For the parents, the biblical review for parents. And that is a really big one for parents, because and for leaders who are going to take this breakout, because we're always trying to figure out how do we engage the family and the parents with what the kids are learning at church. So I'm not saying, that my breakouts and descriptions are always perfect, because I'm the last thing that I am not perfect. But that is a really good example of a breakout, because it's short, it's concise, we know what we're going to take away. I totally know the category of like multisensory, it's teaching, it's review, it's discipleship. Those are all some of the categories that, and hands-on, creative, those were different categories we could put those in. All right. So that is a good example of one. So here's my question to you. What do you want to teach? It is something that should be something that you've been doing for quite some time, something that you have experienced yourself. You have the skill, the knowledge. What is it that you feel you should give to the children's ministry world? They need you. They want you to be part of a conference and teaching these different things. So my recommendation is go back in your files and look at what you wrote a long time ago, and how you have adjusted it and updated it and changed it as time has gone on. That's basically how it started for me. And back a long time ago now, I guess I should have figured that out, but at least, oh my goodness, 15 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, is when I started doing breakouts, just locally. And then I expanded internationally. And my very first one, I remember, I called it Out of the Box and Into God's Word. Now, it's not the best title, I have to admit that, but it was the title that I really believed in, because I felt like we were in such a box in kids ministry, and we needed to bust out of that box, use God's word, and think differently about kids ministry. And so that was the title, and the description, was all about that. And that was my very first breakout that I did. That was the first one I did internationally as well, I remember. And it was a good learning experience. And I've been able to revise some of those titles and descriptions now. But I want you to write a description about what you believe your breakout, your knowledge, your skill, your experience is going to give the other person. How is it going to help them? How is it going to change their ministry? Just like I wrote Lap Books, a creative solution, I really believe it is a solution for a lot of people. And I believe that in my heart. So when I talk about it, then they believe me that this could be a solution. And you have a solution for somebody too. There's a problem, there's a solution. Write down, what problem are you solving for them? And when you figure that piece out, you can put the other pieces in between and have the takeaways and exactly what the solution is for them to move forward in their ministry. So you're going to write it out. You're going to, it can be long, that's okay. And then you're going to look at that whole write-up and you're going to write down what is the problem that this breakout can solve. And then you will write the solution as well. So problem and solution. And you're going to write the takeaways of why this is effective. Why is this going to be the solution? Again, if you refer back to mine, it was because it's budget friendly. It's engaging for parents and doing biblical review. And there was one more there. What was my last one? I'm not sure why I can't remember this. Oh, it's multisensory. Yeah, those were 3 really big takeaways for my people who came and watched it. So what are you going to do? You're going to write that all out there. You're going to come up with that, and then you're going to make it more or less no more than 60 words. Now, again, some breakouts, some applications you could do longer than that, but most are no longer than 60 words. And if you can go even just a little, if you can try and do the 50 words on that one as well, that doesn't include the title. The title is separate. So you don't need to repeat yourself too much in the description. And just make sure that your title actually represents what's in the description. One way to do that is actually write your description first. You don't have to have the title first. You can write that description and then highlight words that pop out to you that are like, oh, that's a good word. And that's kind of what happened with me. I knew it was going to say lap books because that's what the thing was, but the creative, like being creative and that it's a solution came out of the description, and it was quite fabulous, I think. So I think that is the most help I can give you for right now. Again, this takes a lot of time and work and effort, but it's worth doing now so that you already have it. You can always adjust the wording when you actually are applying, because applying, they might have some requirements that you haven't thought of. I've been applying online for the last couple of years to online conferences. And one of the gals that runs the conference, she's just fabulous. And she really makes her applications make you think about why are you applying? What is the reason? And where does this fit in the children's ministry world, and why should we pick you really is what it comes down to. And I know that you have great creative ideas. You have a lot of skill and knowledge, and that God is doing something really exciting through you and in you so that you can be able to present this to other people. All right. So make your comments below. Again, if you want to share it in the platform here, we can get other people's advice on that. And if you really need one-on-one time with me, we can set up something for that, and we can come up with a solution for your breakouts, titles, and descriptions. Okay, here's a couple of tips that I want to give you in regards to the online conference. I said that wrong. The online conference applications that you may need to give. Now, it varies so much. So there's nothing set in stone here. Some will require preciseness on a lot of things, and you have to have all your information ready when you apply. The next one might be really casual, and it's kind of a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5 kind of process, but you just have to be ready for what's coming. Okay. So you've already got a great headshot, and it's all the requirements that we were asking for. You have a bio that is 50 words. And again, you can have your longer one if you want, but you have one that is 50 words. You have your title and you have your description. So that's all done. Okay. What you need now are some of the things that you might say these are extras, but they really do help as a breakout speaker because people want to get a hold of you. And in this day and age, we do that through the computer. So here's the thing. You can just start with something like a Facebook page, not your personal account, but if you wanted to take even the title of your breakout and just make a group that people could go to afterwards and get in contact with you and have some interaction, that would work just fine. If you want to do a website, that's a much bigger step forward, but it's very possible. And with all the templates that are out there, and certainly you can have a free website right now, and it's just like a landing page for people and a few things. And if you would like some help with that, let me know. We can do some consulting to help you get to a place where you have something to give people. And I have lots of really great friends who are really, really good with stuff like that too. So I can get you in touch with them as well. Some of the other things that you're going to need for your submission will be a way to contact you. So we just talked about that. You're also going to want a description of your ministry. Now, again, maybe you don't actually have a ministry that's different yet, but maybe you are working inside a church. And even if you have your picture on that website for your church so that people can go there and go, oh, that's Leann Woelk. Oh, she works at such and such. That's really useful. And as long as your church isn't going to mind, well, I guess you could ask them, make sure, but usually people don't mind their church being advertised. So if you can do that, or a ministry landing page, or a Facebook group, or something like that, okay? You want to have a little bit of a description of that as well. So like I say, I use an elevator pitch. That's what they called it when we learned how to do that. And my elevator pitch is, at Handle with Care Ministries, we partner with churches to provide training, support, and care for children's ministry leaders and their church families. And that is Handle with Care Ministries. I mean, is it much more than that? Yes, of course it is. But that gives people an understanding of, oh, it's for training, it's for supporting, and it's for caring for who? For children's ministry leaders and the church families. So I work very closely with churches, discipling kids and discipling the families and engaging with parents. So that tells you I'm not a missions outreach in Haiti, right? That's not who God called me to be with Handle with Care. So you do need to come up with what is my elevator pitch? Who am I? What am I all about? It can also be, if you don't have a ministry yet, you can use your personal mission statement and walking through the reasons that you exist. What's your purpose? And you could use a personal mission statement. Again, I'd be happy to work with you, consult with you on some of those things. And actually, if you do the course on the lap books, A Creative Solution, I have kind of two sections in there. One is a vision lap book that we did this year. And that talks very much about your personal mission statement and a whole bunch of other things that could be really useful to you for this particular time of figuring things out. Okay. All right. They also will most likely ask for a short video of you speaking. Now, this is really important, so please listen. Short, but with really, really good content. Okay. Your video needs to show you, needs to be good audio so that they can hear you, that they in that 2 minutes, they get some great information, some nuggets. They see your enthusiasm. They see you smile and expressive. Do you get it? And now it doesn't have to be high grade professional video. Like, you don't have to have this done in a studio or something like that. You can use your computer. If your computer has a good camera, good audio, you can do a 2-minute segment of teaching. Now, having said that though, they usually like to see a video of you speaking to a group of people, not kids. Usually they like to see you speaking to adults. And it's because you speak differently to children than you do to adults, and you're going to be speaking to adults. So that's what they want to see. The quality of the video doesn't have to be perfection, but it does have to be good enough that we can see you, that we can hear you, we can understand what you're saying, and choose a segment in which you can do a part of the breakout that you would want to do. You can do that. Pick something that's just like, I love this part of my breakout. I love to teach people about this. Okay. So that you become memorable to the person who's on the other side on the breakout selection committee. And they go, ooh, I like this. I like what she is saying there. Okay. And it should be, sorry, I'm tripping over my own words. It should just be like 2 minutes of you speaking. Now, if you have been doing this for a little while already, but you haven't actually submitted anything, and you might have a bit of a promotional video that you've put together of some segments. So that is actually what I did originally, because that was many years ago. And I had a promo video which had, I put little titles: authentic faith, genuine relationships, real conversations, because that's what family encounters are all about. And then I had a snippet of me speaking in between each one of those titles. And it worked out great. I had it on YouTube, and a lot of times that's where you need to upload the video if you don't have any other place, and you can put it in a Google Drive or something like that, or a Dropbox, but you can put it up on YouTube for free and make it unlisted. So it's not private, but it's unlisted. And then you send that link in. Again, sometimes you can use the private link. Sometimes it's unlisted. Sometimes they want it public. So you'd have to be prepared to have that on there, but usually they don't want it public. So it's okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the main point on that one. You're going to need some kind of handout or outline. Most places kind of see the handout and outline as the very same thing, but some don't. Some actually require you to give an outline, and I mean outline. That's key points. What are the takeaways, and nothing in between. You don't have to have all the rest of it done. Once again, I like lots of words. I tend to write all my notes, all the things into my documents. Then I cut and paste it into a different document, and I remove all my notes and everything to make a handout. And then I can cut and paste that, and I can take out a few more things that will just give the highlights of an outline. And that is usually just to take care of making sure you're on the right track of where they want you to go. Now, you might think, man, it's like kind of complicated, or it's not complicated. They're just trying to do excellence for their conference. And so I have to admire them for that, because I think it's important. Another conference that I've applied for, that leader asks you, why are you doing this? What's the purpose of this breakout? What is the action step that is going to happen when they leave here today? Those are all good questions to think about before you actually get to the application. And action steps are simply, how are they going to, like, not just how are they going to implement this, but what are they going to do now? And what can they do immediately to make this happen? So if you want some one-on-one consulting to help you narrow in on all those things, we can do that. You can just get in touch with me. What else do we need? I think that's it for the actual resource links. That was just another piece. So you can have resource links to websites and things like that, and in your document, because most of our documents now are not, our handouts, I should say, are not printed. If you go to the conference, I think I only do one conference now that actually still prints out the handouts. Otherwise, it's digital. The people can print it off at home before they come or after they go. So just keep that in mind, okay? It just keeps the cost down. It's a lot of paperwork and all of that. So you can have a digital link now to different sites. Make sure that your links are working. Make sure that you are referencing and sourcing them properly, so that, like, you're not taking any credit for this particular form. Let's just say that you're recommending, but make sure that you're saying, no, this is from Equipping Essentials, and here's their website, and here's how you can get it. And if you know the author's name, make sure you put their name too, because that's respectful. That's what we would want for ourselves as well, right? All right. Yeah, so I think that is mostly what you need to be prepared to do. I'm thinking that some of you are probably a little bit surprised at just how much information has to go into something before you can even submit your application, but it is well worth your time. And we're doing this so that you can be prepared ahead of time, and you don't have to go looking for certain things or rewriting things every time that you want to be part of something. And there is something to be said of when you hear about an application opening up, that you get your stuff in quickly. Like, you do get noticed a little bit more, I think, when you are somebody who is on top of it. It's like, oh, there's an excitement for this person who wants to come and be part of our conference, right? All right, let's, I'm going to talk for a couple of minutes on the presentation that we do on site, which be a little bit challenging because I'm actually online with you here. So it's a little bit different. And then a little bit of being online for a conference as well. So we'll do that in the next video. Well, since we have been online for the last couple of years, and this is kind of where I have been a breakout speaker the most for the last couple of years, I thought I would start with online breakout speaker. Now, here are just a few tips, once again, of what some of the organizations might require of you, and you need to read your information from them very clearly. Understand what they are asking for. And if you don't understand, you need to ask questions, okay? Because you can't really just improvise, and you've gone to all this work to make your video, for example, and then it's not what they wanted. So I'm just going to give you a couple of different examples of what I've experienced and how that works, okay? So, for example, how long is your breakout session? Online conferences are as unique and different as any on-site conference that you can go to. I have found that most of the online conferences that I've been involved with, that the speaking time is only sometimes 20 to 25 minutes compared to a 45-minute on-site presentation. That is a lot of information that has to be concentrated and changed. Now, I have to tell you, I've made lots of mistakes. I haven't got through all my content. And you know what? It happened not too long ago, actually. I just had so much information I wanted to share with the people, and I had practiced it and thought I could get it all in, but it turned out I didn't. But that's okay. I still connected with the people and gave them the extra information afterwards. So I'm just saying, make sure you know what you are giving to the organization, okay? The video that you do, they will have specifications of the size that you can have. One of the numbers that you'll hear is a resolution. So most of the conferences that I've worked with is no higher than a 720 resolution. You can go higher than that. I think it's 1040 resolution. But unless you have really good internet and you have lots of space in a Google Drive or where you're uploading, that they have lots of space, that usually is a little high. And 720 is still really good quality. It's just not as high of quality as you can get. Now, having said that, make sure you know what they are asking for and you'll be fine, okay? You also want to find out, how do they want you to do the breakout? Now, I just made an assumption. I just told you not to do that. I made an assumption that they actually want it pre-recorded and uploaded into their platform or Google Drive or Dropbox or something like that. So you can have pre-recorded videos. And let's just talk about that for a minute. So pre-recorded will mean that they often would like a short intro video that is a lot of times 1 minute, maybe 2, could stretch to 3. It depends on what they're asking for. Again, give them what they want. And that's the only thing in there. Then there's the teaching portion. And then often there's a conclusion. Now, sometimes the conclusion is asked for separately. Sometimes it's just added onto the end of the video. The tricky part that can happen with the online recording that you're doing is that you may want to add transitions and PowerPoints and graphics and animations and all sorts of things like that. And although they're very good, again, make sure you know what they want, because a lot of times the organization wants to brand your video to go with their conference. So they don't actually want all the extras. They don't necessarily want your name and organization or ministry across the bottom of the screen. They don't want the animations, and they don't want the PowerPoints and things like that. They will tell you how they want you to do it. So if you have a PowerPoint. Now, again, this is a recorded breakout that you are doing. So there'll be a lot more specifics in what you are supposed to do. One of the things that they will ask you to do for sure is to edit your recording. They do not know where you made a mistake, and they are not going to watch the whole thing, each segment, and correct your mistakes. The other thing is that they don't necessarily know that you made a mistake. I was recording these videos and I said something that was really better in a different video. And so when I was finished, I took it and I split the clip and I removed it. And you don't even know what I said now. That's what you will need to do, is just make sure that what you give them is an edited version, but that you don't add transitions and fancy things to it. Okay. I think that's really important to do that. You can also just ask them if they would add something with their own branding, that, like, let's say scripture verse comes up on the screen, your name on the screen, your ministry on the screen. They will ask you for those things, and they will ask you for an outline or a handout that they can also put usually under your video in that conference platform. Okay, so that people can download that. So that is a big piece of being pre-recorded. I also just want to say that the segments that you do can make it actually easier for the organization, as well as keeping you organized in your head when you're doing a pre-recorded breakout. Now, I'm talking about a 45-minute breakout. You can do it all together, but you probably will have more editing to do than if you decided to put your recording into 5 segments, let's say, or 4, 3, whatever. But if you can divide it into what you would put on your handout anyway, like I often talk about heart-to-heart prayer is what I call it. And then we talk about the spiritual eyes and ears. We talk about the heart, the mouth, and touch. We talk about the hands. We talk about all the senses. And so I have those headlines on my handout, and that's how I would talk about it as well in my video. That way they can put it all together if that's what they want, or they can keep it separate. But I'd much rather have a 9 or 10-minute segment to edit at one point, and rather than 45 minutes. Your head goes a little crazy and your eyes go crazy when you're looking at the same thing over and over again. I also recommend that as soon as you finish that segment, if you know that you made a mistake, you either write down, like, go to the video, write down the timing in which that happened and what you need to edit out. I personally do it right then. Like, I just get rid of it, because otherwise it takes twice as long for me to go back and find it and find that exact moment again. So that's my recommendation to you. It works very, very well. So the other way that you would do online conferences is that you would be live, and it's awesome, but it has its own stresses, because the person is right there, and you can choose in a lot of these platforms. You first of all, you want to be familiar with the platform. So they usually have a test run. Go to the test run. If there is any conference that is happening, especially if there's a free conference that you could go to and go on the platform. So for example, Hopin is something that I've used quite a bit, and go to the conference and just check out everything so that you understand how that platform works. And then watch the speakers and see how they interact and how they do their breakout. So for example, I love people very, very much. And so when I'm in person, I'm interacting with the people all the time. But I have found that online, I am so distracted with the chat on the side, because people are asking questions and I want to answer them, but it breaks the flow of the breakout, and we will run out of time to get the information out. Now, again, depending on who you are speaking for and their organization, they may want you to stop and answer all the questions that are coming in. However, most of the questions tend to be like, oh, I can't find the handout. Where's her website? Things like that, that really, as the speaker, it's very hard to monitor those things. If at all possible, and most of the online conferences are now having a moderator. So if you have a moderator, thank the Lord, and connect with them beforehand. You can send them a piece of paper even that has, here's the links to my website, here's the links to the resources I'm talking about. I even like to give them some key phrases because, in a chat, you hear something and you're like, whoa, that's good. So you type in the words. Well, the moderator is trying to not only listen to the speaker, but they are trying to answer those other questions like, where's the handout? So I give them a few keywords, especially the scripture references, because people always ask, where was that scripture reference from? And again, because you're not live in person, it's just a different interaction. It's wonderful and great. And I would rather, though, get all my information out and then have time at the end to be able to answer questions and give them answers. Now, if you have the ability as an online speaker to allow people to come on your screen at the end and talk to you and other people can see them, I highly recommend it. It makes it much more personal in the end. In the same way, though, when you're doing your actual teaching, don't have other people on the screen. It's far too distracting to have them on there. And in regards to PowerPoints and things like that, you can often share things, as I have done on these videos before. I'm not a really good person with PowerPoint. I have a friend, Anna, who is so good. And she just does a marvelous job. And I'm going to see if I can get her to give us some tips on how to do the PowerPoints inside a conference that is online so that you can learn from the very best. Okay. I do think it's important to have some visuals. So depending, like some people might put this up on their screen as a PowerPoint. For me, I would rather just hold up a piece of paper, and it's not right or wrong. It's just different. And this is something that would be available to them that they could download. And I just think having any kind of prop near you when you're talking about things, I would talk to the kids about the Romans Road race. I would say that when Jesus went to the cross, he declared it was finished. And what is the finished work of the cross? And, we could talk and do a prayer focus on that with some leaders, let's just say. So those are all some tips that I have. You need to have good lighting. You need to have a good microphone. I'm going to show you. So again, this isn't always required. I like to keep things pretty casual, but I do like to improve where I can. So I've done conferences where I'm wearing my earbuds and into that microphone because that's a better sound than it is just from your computer. But I have found that this microphone wasn't very much money. It's a Snowball Blue, it's called. Works really well. And I'm just using a camera off of my computer. It's nothing fancy, but it works well. My computer was updated last year. And as you can see, I have a background that is a sheet. See? And it's framing me well. We already talked about when we do our headshots. It's kind of the same thing. You got to have some good lighting. Wearing a color that complements you really well is a good idea. Keeping things simple around you and behind you, if you use a lot of props, is really important. I know some speakers who they don't use a lot of props. And so if you don't use props, then it's okay to have like shelves and a wall that has different things on it. And again, it's not right or wrong. It's just something to think about. And you have to be able to look at yourself on the screen and go, that's good. I remember speaking to my pastor and we were stepping into all the events of 2020, and I was beginning to do recordings. And one of the things and advice he gave me was that you must be able to watch yourself on the video. You must be able to critique your video and the things that you do. I used to have a really, really bad habit of moving my I often wear jackets with a little, like a shirt underneath. And so I would have a nervous habit where I would touch my coat a lot of times. And I did that as a breakout speaker, that I was trying to change it, but I really saw it on the videos. And so I had to change that. He also said, you're going to have a moment one day when you're going to watch yourself and it's going to hit you that that was really good. Like you're going to have a moment where you, yes, it's you. But what you're saying is, you're declaring God's word, and you've had this revelation of something that you are sharing with someone else. And it's so good. And he just said, embrace that moment. You need to, it's important that you take those moments and you nailed it on that one. So I give that to you as well, because I think it's important that you know that you are going to do great. And the first time might be full of some blunders. And you know what? Even after you've done it for hours and hours of teaching times, videos, breakouts online, you're still going to stumble. I did not too long ago, and oh, well, what do I do? I know this is what I'm supposed to do. So you get up again and you do it again and try and improve where you can. So I think that's the main things for the online. And I want to talk to you about being in person, even though you're going to have me online, and just what we can do to make it a presentation that you just won't forget. All right. So, all right, everybody, let's talk about you being the breakout speaker on site or in person. I tend to say on site because it's online, on site now. It's been a while since I've been on site, just because we've had a lot of restrictions still here in Canada, but looking forward to being in person once again. Being on site with people, there's nothing that energizes me more than being with the people. And as a breakout speaker, we are so privileged and grateful for the opportunity to share with others. Now, a couple of things I want to just mention. Please make sure that you are on time for your breakout. I'd even suggest to be at the end of the other person who's in that room. Be there on time, so that you can set up. They'll know they need to get out, and there is a room host there usually, and they will assist them with getting things out, and then make sure that you talk to them. And if you have anything that you want to give them, for example, I'll have post-it notes to hand out, and I'll make sure that I have pens so that in case somebody doesn't have a pen, they can use that. And just make sure that your props are organized, and you don't usually have a whole lot of time to set up. So you got to be quick, okay, with what you're doing. Keep in mind that handouts are not usually printed anymore at conferences. So if you want a handout for people, you will have to provide them yourself. They are heavy. So if you put them in your bags to go on a plane, you could be overweight with the bags. So you may want to print them once you get there. You can look into those things after you've been accepted as a breakout speaker. One of the things that they are going to ask you after you become a breakout speaker and you're coming to be in person is, what do you need in the room? Do you need a screen? Do you need a projector? Do you need a wireless mic? Do you need a mic with cord? Do you need a headset? There's lots of different options there. You will need to provide your own computer and the adapter that works with that. So look at the specifics so you know what you're getting into. That piece for me is always like, oh, I get really nervous because I'm not that techie. And I just want to make sure it works. I actually have a tendency to not use the computer as much, but I have lots of friends who are so good at PowerPoints, and I watch what they do and I'm just amazed. So, yeah, it depends on who you are. And if that's going to distract you too much though, from your presentation and getting the teaching out, then you may want to reconsider, exactly what you do. I personally love props, lots of them. And I think that they create a great experience. So I would have things like fragrance. I know we do need to be careful, and I do ask people if this would bother them at all. I do tend to have like an essential oil instead of a perfume like that. But for the most part, I've been able to use that. I like interactive, multisensory when we're in person, because there's just something about that, right? Yeah. A couple of other things. I'm just going to show you things that you could use. You can use it online as well, but I think using things like props in person really solidify the lesson that you're teaching. And so in this particular case, I have little fairy lights inside of here, and we talk about how we were dead in sin, and then we were given new life, and these lights come up. And if I take this off of here, I'm not sure if this is going to work online, but I love using these glasses, and they are 3D glasses. Now I'm going to try something that I don't know if I've done before. So can you see? Okay, I'm going to do that. Do they change into heart? Oh, they do. Look at that. Okay, so I would be doing this in person, and I would be showing them how Jesus sees people. So we put the glasses on, and then they'd be looking at the lights and experiencing something. And this is a really good one too. This talks about how the enemy can distort things, and whether, again, on video it works too, but take a look at that. It kind of distorts my face, doesn't it? Well, these kinds of things can make a presentation really fun and interactive. Just don't get lost in the whole point of why you're there and what that's supposed to mean. I would recommend that you stick to your handout. Make sure that your points are being like highlighted, and then you talk on those points. Don't rush ahead. I know I'm guilty of it because I got so much to say, but it has helped me to give a consistent flow to the breakout, so that you know when you're practicing at home, because yes, you should be practicing this at home, and you're giving the information that is in each one of those. You don't have to give all the information on those handouts, by the way, but it will help you stay on track, so that you get from the beginning to the end, and it is what was expected from the organization. It was the takeouts are there, the takeaways, I should say, and the problem and the solution. Remember how we talked about that? You need to deliver all of that to the people. Now, having said that, I want to just bring up something that happens often. When we get to the conference, it is such fun to be a breakout speaker because there are some privileges that you get to have. There's usually a room that you can go and be with other breakout speakers. There's usually some snacks or some drinks, water for sure, that you can have a quiet place to be. Now, having said that, sometimes you go into the room and everybody's laughing and they're having a great time. So it just depends on the speakers that you have in there at the moment. But it is a great place just to spend a little bit of time and get to know some of the other breakout speakers. So when you get into your room and you're all set up, and your room host, they're going to help you with your mic that you have already asked about, and you make sure your computer's working and that you have audio to that. That's in if you need it. And do be careful, because if you use a song, you have to make sure that you acknowledge who the artist is. We don't want any copyright infringements and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so please take a look at what their requirements are for those things as well. when you're speaking and when you're starting, you can give an intro to the group. But here's the thing, they already know who you are because they actually saw your name, they saw your bio. That was awesome. They've already clicked on the link to Handle with Care Ministries. They've found out something about me, or they can find out more about me if they're interested later. I don't need to give them the whole bio right now. Their time is valuable. They're coming to invest in the knowledge and skills that you are going to give them. And the last thing they need is a 10 or 15-minute introduction of who you are and why you're standing there today and all that kind of stuff. So it's about them. It's not about us. And the Lord wants to use you today to speak into their lives. You can do a little intro because, I mean, it would make sense to introduce yourself. And I tend to use, well, this is what I do. I say, hello, my name is Leann Woelk, and I am the founder and executive director with Handle with Care Ministries. We partner with churches to provide training, support, and care for children's ministry leaders and their church families. We're so glad that you're here with us today in Lap Books, a creative solution. Well, let's get going. And like literally, that's all I say, because they have all the information to go and look on my bio, find out more about Handle with Care, who I'm married to, what kids I have, all that kind of stuff. But now's not the time to give that. I'm also going to just say that when we speak, I mean, we are talking out of our own experiences. I mean, for me, learning about the throne of grace for myself was answering a question that I had for God about how do I teach Christian kids what to do when they sin? And so the Lord started taking me on that journey. And so everything I teach, everything that I've learned is now flowing out of that. And I mean, I could give my whole testimony, I could give it all to them. But again, this isn't about me. I need to give short, concise pieces so they understand that I'm talking about, let's just say, the throne of grace. So Hebrews 4:16 says, we can come boldly to the throne of grace where we will receive mercy and get grace in our time of need. That's what I need to share with them. And then I can talk about my scars. Like, let's just say we're talking about the throne of grace, and this is a prayer experience for kids. So in my brain, I'm always thinking, what does she need to take this back to the kids? What does he need to hear so that he can experience this and then take it back to the kids? It's not about me. So I could give you the whole backstory on how I found these scarves, and the blood of Jesus is what this one it represents. This one represents sin. This white one is the robe of righteousness, and now I can stand before the Father. I can give you all of that, but you know what? Again, they can find that all out later. So you just give them enough so that they get to experience it. What do they do with their sin? What does that look like? What does the Bible say we can do? And then proceed into the biblical text using your props, but not making the story about your own experience. I hope that that's not discouraging to you, because listen, you're going to have lots of opportunity to talk about yourself and your experiences with those other breakout speakers, and afterwards making sure you have time for the people who have attended your breakout. Now, you have to get out of that room quickly usually too. So you may want to just tell the people that I'd be happy to talk to you. I do have to respect my time limit in here. We're going to pack up. If you would like to talk to me, just meet me outside the doors here and just say, hey, Leann, could we talk for a few minutes? And I've had such powerful times with people who just needed a little bit of extra time afterwards to pray together and talk through some situations. So make sure you give yourself time to be available for them. That's why we're there as breakout speakers. We want to get into a next session for ourselves too. I get that, but we have the honor now to be a breakout speaker, and we want to respect that. That well, we've been given the authority to be able to speak into people's lives. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. All right. I want to give you the last couple of tidbits as a breakout speaker. These could apply to being on site or online. And they're just some things that I've learned over the years and thought they would be useful to you as well. Number one is pray. You need to pray. Pray about the conference that you are going to submit your application to. Make sure it's the right one for you. Pray about the breakout. What is it that God wants you to be speaking on? What does he want you to impart into other people that he has taught you already? Pray about the audience. Pray about the attendees who are going to be coming and what they are going to learn and learn from you. And pray for confidence in the Lord. He has asked you to do this. So you want to have his confidence coming through. The next one is be prepared. I like props. I think I've already mentioned that. And you need to be prepared for your breakout, whether it's online or on site. You need to practice, and you can record yourself and watch it back and just see exactly what does that look like. And it will help you greatly. Be prepared with your props. Make sure that they're organized so that you're not stumbling over things, and be prepared for the questions that may come. That has a lot to do with the prayer ahead of time, that you're prepared in your heart for the audience that you're going to be speaking to. And as we present to them, that they will they'll get the questions, like Holy Spirit's going to be speaking to them too. And you're going to want to make sure that you can answer those questions. When we're prepared with the props and we've already prayed, then we have to make sure that we present well. And presenting as myself is really important, because I don't want to go and have coffee with you later and you go, wow, you're a really different person when you're standing at the front. Now, there is something about, our posture and how we might come across, but just we want to be professional, but we want to be real as well. But also presenting ourselves the way that God wants us to present ourselves. And that would be dressed, hair done, makeup on. Oh, maybe not for you gentlemen, you're clean shaven, or if you have a beard, that it's trimmed up, that your clothes, now it doesn't have to be expensive clothes at all. Just you can wear what you already have in your closet, but make sure you feel comfortable in what you're wearing and that you like what you're wearing, because that makes a big difference. And yes, even on a computer and you're doing a recording, make sure that you are fully dressed. Yes, I know we all did the pajama things in 2020, but there is something about being dressed properly, with dress pants on. And yes, I even have shoes on. And then I've raised my desk so I'm standing, because that's how I would present, right, at a breakout. And then to pause. There is something about when we start speaking in front of people or in front of a camera, that we just keep going and we ramble on and on. Now, I wasn't doing a breakout here, so it's a little bit different than when I actually do a teaching video for a kids encounter or a family encounter. But pausing for just a moment not only allows people to catch up on what you have just said or make a note, but it also allows the Holy Spirit to speak to your heart. Maybe you need to keep going on that one point. Maybe you need to move on. Maybe I'm talking about myself too much and I need to redirect where this is going and back to the people and their need. So those are my four tips that I'm hoping will be helpful to you. This is what you are called to do, and that God is giving you an opportunity to prepare yourself for what is to come in these next couple of months, in this next year. And I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to hear the stories that will come out of this. So God bless you. And thank you for spending time with me. And again, if you need some one-on-one consulting, coaching in regards to you personally and what you want to put together so you're ready to become a breakout speaker, you can get in touch with me, and we'll set up a time, a care call that will help you lead through the whole, what you need to happen. All right. So God bless you. Thank you so much.